Hello, everybody. Welcome to Running Code, Humor in South Texas Law Enforcement. I'm your host, T-Bone. With me, as always, my partner, J-Man. J-Man, how you doing today?
Doing real good.
All right. How you feeling?
Feel great.
All right. I guess someone got some sleep last night. Must be nice.
Yeah, so what is sleep, really?
Yeah, as cops are kind of used to not getting any. So today, I've had some questions from other listeners who've asked me to explain some of the terms we use in law enforcement. And so, like mansplaining, this is going to be copsplaining, where we're going to discuss and break down terms we use here so you understand what we're talking about when you hear it in later episodes or you go back and listen to earlier episodes. I'll start off with an easy one. PC, standing for?
Probable cause.
Probable cause. So probable cause is a set of facts or clues that would lead a reasonable person to believe a crime has, is, or will be committed. So what do I mean by that? If I'm driving behind a set of closed businesses at night, and there's someone walking behind him with a backpack with a crowbar and a sledgehammer, I have probable cause to believe a crime has, is, or will be committed, aka burglary.
Right.
Because it's closed businesses, it's not residential. He's got backpack with burglary tools, sledgehammer, crowbar, stuff like that. I can stop and detain him and identify him and talk to him. Right. Absolutely, 100%, because of the circumstances. Switch that to broad daylight, near a construction site, and a guy walking down with a crowbar and a sledgehammer. No, I can't.
Right.
Because it doesn't meet the same facts. It's daytime. It's near a construction site. Those are tools reasonably believed to be at a construction site.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we mean by probable cause. Another great example. Probable cause just means that we have to have probable cause to arrest. We have to have probable cause to issue a warrant. We have to have probable cause to search a car. We have to have probable cause to do these things. We have to be able to articulate. And what I mean by articulate, for those that understand that word, is we have to be able to write down specifically what we knew, saw, heard, smelled to do a specific thing, whether it's an arrest, a warrant,
right,
so on and so forth. So I walk up on your vehicle. Marijuana is illegal in the state of Texas. And I walk up on the vehicle, and it smells like marijuana. Knowing marijuana is illegal to possess in any way, shape, or form in the state gives me probable cause to search the car.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what probable cause is. Search warrant for a house. Search warrant for blood, what we call a blood warrant. If I arrest you for a DWI, and you're refusing to give me a breath sample, but based on the PC for the arrest of DWI, I can apply for a search warrant to get your blood based on the facts. The driving, the admittance to alcohol, the smell of alcohol, your performance on the field sobriety test, all those factors allow me to apply for a warrant to pull your blood. Now, I'm not going to pull your blood. I'm not a nurse or a phlebotomist. It's going to be a nurse at the jail that's going to do it. But that's the probable cause that allowed me to do that.
Right.
So that's probable cause. So I hope that cleared some of it up, because we've heard before, what is PC? What does PC mean? That's what it means. And I'll tell you right now, on traffic stops, I've heard people go, you don't have PC to search me. If I'm telling you I'm going to search you, I have PC. I don't have to tell you I have PC. I can just do it. Now, generally, I will tell you, hey, I got probable cause based on XYZ. But I don't have to tell you. That's a courtesy. I can say, get out, I'm searching you. You can cry about it later to your lawyer, and when you and your lawyer watch the footage together, and he explains it to you in third grade English, you'll feel stupid. But I'd like to knock down I like to avoid some of the fights and just say, look, man, I have probable cause based on this. I just saw the meth pipe in the center console. That gives me probable cause to believe there's meth in the car based on the presence of a pipe used to smoke meth.
Yes.
So that is probable cause.
Yes.
So I hope that kind of cleared it up. We arrest based on probable cause, but we do not convict based on probable cause.
Nope.
We convict on proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yep.
So people don't understand that. We don't arrest you based on a Loctite case right then and there. We arrest you based on the elements of the offense. That what that means is every penal code has elements to an offense in the penal code. So to have family violence, you must have committed an assault against a member of the family or the household.
Yes.
If it's not a member of the family or household, it's just assault.
Yes.
So these are the elements of the offense. So that's what we mean, guys. So I hope that clears up some misconceptions or misunderstandings about what we mean by probable cause. Give me another one, J-Man.
Another one common, of course, I know I've used it before, and you've used it before on the show, POM. POM does not mean pomegranate juice or pom-pom. It's for possession of marijuana. Yep. It's just how we shorten it. So you may hear officers say, hey, I arrested that individual for POM, and they just mean possession of marijuana.
Because we know what he means.
Yes. But of course, we do have civilian listeners, and we love the fact that you guys listen. Thank you. But sometimes we could speak in a way to where we're using cop jargon slang.
Yes.
And half of our listeners may not know what in the world we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so POM is definitely possession of marijuana, unless there's something else, and I'm not aware of it yet. But it's it's possession of marijuana.
Oh, I've never heard POM mean anything else other than possession of marijuana. But yeah, we're going to shorten it. Just where it's cop jargon. Every profession has jargon.
Mm-hmm.
Doctors have jargon. Nurses have jargon. Everybody has jargon of some sort. So we have our own jargon. The difference is a lot of people understand jargon from other professions, but cop jargon, unless you're a cop or married to a cop or dating a cop, and you've heard the terms before in conversation with them, you're not going to understand them. And we'd like to clear that up. And we had an episode back, I don't remember if it was 3 or 4, where we did common myths and misconceptions. This kind of dovetails nicely with that. And for the listeners that maybe didn't listen to common myths and misconceptions, go back, take a listen to that. But now I think you'll understand it a little bit more. You may go back and listen again because you heard it the first time, didn't know what it was, and now you do know what it was.
Right.
Other ones, you hear the term CCP. That stands for the Code of Criminal Procedure, which is how we do our job as law enforcement officers, what we're allowed to do, the limits. The penal code are the laws. Those are the actual laws written by the state legislature and signed into law by the governor that you may not do X, Y, Z, or this will be the penalty. And it's like, for instance, murder is 5 to 99. Capital murder is 99 or life or death. Those are the penalties set for the laws you're breaking.
Yep.
The Code of Criminal Procedure is what tells us how we can do our job, what we're allowed to do, what our limits are. So a lot of people don't realize is, and I'm going to explain this, a lot of people may not realize it, the Constitution limits the government's power. It tells what the government may or may not do based on those search and seizure, freedom of speech, stuff like that. The amendments that govern how elections are held and states' rights and government rights. The penal code is the laws that we have to follow as citizens.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. The Constitution limits the government's power, and the penal code is the crimes that a person could be subject to arrest for. So that's the big difference. And of course, you got the civil code, and you got the family code, and the health and safety code, and all the different codes. The penal code tells us what we're allowed to do, or penal code tells you what you may not do, and the Code of Criminal Procedure tells us as officers how to do our job. And you may have heard the term case law before, too. That's another one.
Yeah.
Case laws is pretty much how these laws come about that we have to follow is based on a case law. What do I mean by case law? It was a case that went to the courts, made it all the way through the court. That person was convicted. They don't appeal an innocent, an innocent ruling. They were convicted, so it goes up to the next level. In Texas, that's the Court of Criminal Appeal. And if they don't like the answer they get there, then they can go to the Fifth Circuit Court, which is headquartered in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. If they don't like the answer they got there, then they can go to the Supreme Court of the United States, which is the ultimate governing body for laws in the United States.
Right.
Their word is the final say. That's it. Once they make a call, that's your call. So I'll give you a great example. Everyone's heard Miranda warning. I know my rights. I know my Miranda warning, and most people don't know their rights.
Miranda v. Arizona.
Miranda v. Arizona, which is a very famous, and when we say landmark case, and you hear the term, we say landmark ruling, that means it was a case so important and so groundbreaking that it changed the landscape of law enforcement. The Miranda v. Arizona was one of those cases. Prior to that, you didn't have to read someone their Miranda warning, and they didn't have to acknowledge they understood their rights.
Yep.
So you could question somebody without even telling them they had the right to shut up. The Fifth Amendment had been around a while prior to 1960. Was it 64, 65? It's somewhere mid-60s.
Yeah.
But the officers didn't Mirandize. There hadn't been a ruling made where it was required. So now, after that court case, and it was, I can't remember his first name, but Miranda was arrested. He was not read as Miranda. He was convicted, but he won on appeal up to the Supreme Court because he didn't know he had the right to remain silent because he confessed to, I believe it was murder.
Yeah.
I believe it was murder. He confessed, but he'd never been read as Miranda, and they had to vacate the entire case. Now, can they retry? Yes, you can retry based on the evidence that is not poisonous tree, and we'll talk about poisonous tree here in a minute. For those that don't understand poisonous tree, fruit of the poisonous tree. So now we Mirandize when you're in custodial or in custody, and we are going to question you. If it's understood you are not free to leave, and we're going to ask questions that are going to be problematic because of a crime you've committed or we're accusing you of committed, you have the right to remain silent, right to have an attorney, so on and so forth. So that's what we say, and we say case law,
right?
Miranda. Pennsylvania versus Mims. You'll hear it say, or Mim v. Pennsylvania. That's the court case. The landmark case allows us to tell you to exit the car. That's it. You don't get a choice. We tell you get out, get out. That's a landmark ruling. So these are all landmark rulings. So if we hear us say stuff like case law, that's what we mean. It was a case that changed the scope of law enforcement and limited our authority, and it should, and it limits our authority. That's usually what they do, is limit our authority. Mm-hmm. And we should have limited authority, because can you imagine living in a country where you could do whatever you want as a cop? That's not law enforcement anymore. That's a dictatorship.
Yeah.
So I just said it. What was it? Poisonous Tree.
Poisonous Tree, yeah.
So I'm sure people here have watched Boston Legal, SVU, Law and Order, all those shows, and they've heard the term poisonous tree. What this means is any evidence gathered that was illegally obtained, you cannot use against that person in trial. Mm-hmm. It's poisonous. So if I conduct an illegal search of your car because I do not have a warrant, your consent, or probable cause, and I find a dead body in the trunk that you killed, the search is inadmissible because I didn't do it legally.
Yes.
So that's poisonous tree. So everything found in that car, not admissible. Doesn't mean the case is dead, but we're going to have to get other evidence to figure it out. And we can't use the fact that we found the body and the gun on you and the body in the trunk. We can't use it. So that's poisonous tree. And that's a right that protects people from illegal search and seizure. Do I think sometimes that goes a little far? Maybe. If you're a family of a victim, you'd probably be pretty ticked. But those laws are there to protect all of us. That's what they're there for. They protect everybody equally. Mm-hmm. Regardless of race, color, creed, religion, it doesn't matter. They will protect you. I can't walk up on a car and just demand to search it without, I don't smell marijuana, I don't see drugs and evidence. Even a gun, just being a gun in evidence does not give me a right to search a car. This is Texas.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So now some states where you can't carry without a license and you can verify that license, they probably can. Like Illinois, you got to have a FOI card, a FOA card, FOIA card, something like that. Mm-hmm. They can, because you can't have a gun in that state without it. So they can ask you to get out. Now, it doesn't mean they can search the car, but they can seize the gun, run the gun, and run you to see if you have a FOA card. And if you don't, now you're going to be in some trouble in Illinois.
Right.
Texas, you don't require a license to have it in the car. So just the presence of a handgun does not automatically give me the right to search your car. Mm-hmm. So an example, if I pull you over and I've observed no criminal activity inside the car, I've seen no paraphernalia, nothing illegal, I can't just demand to search your car. If I tell you you have no choice, I'm telling you to get out and search it. If I do find anything, it's not admissible. Yep. And I have violated your rights.
Yeah. Illegal
search and seizure. Mm-hmm. It wasn't reasonable. It wasn't based on probable cause or affidavit. I just demanded to search it and said, I'm going to search it. That's a no-no. So I can ask you for consent. You can give me consent to do anything you want. If I can ask you, sir, can I search your car? You can either tell me yes or no. If you tell me no, that's it. That's the answer.
Yep.
I can't keep pushing. Well, why? What are you trying to hide? When officers do that, it drives me nuts, because I'm like, you're pushing. He already gave you your answer.
Yes. Don't
keep pushing. Yeah. That's going to come back to haunt you at some point, because you pushed. And now you felt like, oh, shit, maybe I don't have a choice. Citizens, you have a choice. You're free to not to talk to us. You're free not to let us search your stuff. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. If we get a warrant or we get probable cause, it's going to happen. But absent those items, you have the right to say no, and you can tell us to kiss your ass, and there's nothing we can do about it. And we can't get mad and start getting an attitude because you said no. You have the right to say no. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize they have the right to say no. You don't have to speak to us. You don't. If you're detained or in custody by law, you have to give your name, your address, your date of birth, and your social. You have to give those items because they're identifiers. But if we want to ask you about why we stopped you or where you're coming from, what you're doing, you can tell us to kiss your ass and close your mouth, and anything in the world we can do about it. Because you have the right not to incriminate yourself. These are all simple concepts, but a lot of people don't understand their rights.
Yes.
And they think they understand their rights. I pull over a car. Hey, sir, go and step out. I don't have to. You need to tell me why. No, I don't have to tell you why. I don't have to explain it. I don't got to go through the court ruling, Mims versus Pennsylvania. If I tell you to get out as a peace officer, you need to get out. It's not a choice anymore. You're being ordered. I may say it politely, but make no mistake about it. It's an order.
Yes.
So people think and have this need for us to explain everything we're doing prior to doing it. We don't have to do that. And if it's an exigent circumstance where I need you out of that car fast, I'm not going to stand there at the window for 10 minutes and explain why I have the right to ask you to get out of the car. Because there's a time crunch. Something's going on. I need you out of that car immediately.
Yes.
So that's that's that. So give me another one, J-Man.
There's a nice little buzzword. I've seen it on some of these some of like the First Amendment auditor videos is a RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion.
I'm gonna let you take that one.
So reasonable suspicion is pretty much defined as an articulable set of facts that allows us to contact an individual to inquire about their behavior that we believe is suspicious. Like a lot of times, get suspicious person calls, and a lot of time, and this is an example. A lot of times, pretty much the details of the suspicious person is that there's someone given the clothing description of who they may be, who this individual may be, and they're just walking around the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to tell you this, callers, these callers who are not listeners, but you may think about calling on that individual in your neighborhood. If they are just walking down the street and you do not recognize the person, that is not reasonable suspicion for us as law enforcement to go contact them. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to drive by, see the person. Oh, he's just walking. I'm driving by, and on my key card is going to say, individual was walking. No offenses committed.
No illegal
activity observed. 10-8. And 10 codes, we'll go into that something next as far as like, we don't really use 10 codes, we use plain speak, but sometimes you will hear officers use 10 codes. Yeah, but it's not doing anything. Now, if a citizen calls in, there is a description of this individual who is peering in vehicles, looking in the windows, hands cupped over. That's not illegal. But that is reasonable, articulable suspicion based on a credible person telling me that someone could be engaged in criminal behavior. So that gives me the authority to stop and investigate.
Mm-hmm. Because it's unusual behavior.
It's unusual
Why is he looking into cars that don't belong to him?
Right.
So could be possibly a car burglary, car theft.
Right.
Now we can, but this doesn't mean we can turn that person's life upside down, search their pockets.
Yes.
We can't.
Yes.
And I'd like to mention first, you mentioned credible person. I'd like to explain what a credible person is.
Yeah, go.
So people understand what credible means. If you call 911 to report something, but you refuse to give us your name or phone number, you're not considered credible because we don't know who you are and we don't know your phone number. We can't have you testify in court if it turns out there was a crime committed. So you're not credible. To be a credible person, you must be identifiable. We have to know who you are. Name, date of birth, phone number. At least we can call you back and say, what else did you see? Can we come by and get a statement from you? So for those callers that call us and go, I want to report a crime, but I don't want to tell you who I am, you're not giving us anything to work with. Can't help you.
Yeah.
We need a complainant that is identifiable.
Right.
So now you're going to get out of this tomorrow night, New Year's Eve. My neighbors are shooting off fireworks. We're not coming. We're not coming to tell them to stop doing the fireworks because you got to work tomorrow. It's not going to happen. It's New Year's Eve. In Texas, fireworks are legal. So guess what? We're not going to come out because you're mad that your neighbor is shooting off fireworks. Sorry about your luck, Chuck. Have a good night. We're just not coming. And people don't understand that. It's not a crime. Shooting off fireworks is not a crime. It's New Year's Eve. Everybody's shooting off fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
July 4th, same thing. We get the calls. Now, if you step out and say, my name is John Doe, and this is my phone number, and the neighbor's shooting his gun in the air, entirely different story.
Right.
Because those bullets come up and they come down.
Right.
They're going to come down on someone's roof or someone's head or someone's car. Totally different story. What that person's doing is dangerous. And if you're willing to give us your name and your phone number and tell us who's doing it, now we're going to come to that because we have a credible person who has identified a crime because it is illegal to fire off firearms in populations. It is.
Yep. In Texas, it is. Yep.
In Texas, it is because bullets come down.
Yep.
Now we have a whole different story. But if you say my neighbor's setting off Willie Pete's and I got to work tomorrow, do not be surprised when nobody shows up because we're not going to. It's just not going to happen. So I'm glad we were able to mention credible person because we hear this a lot.
Yeah. And then I guess just to continue, 10 codes.
Oh, 10 codes, yeah.
So 10 codes is something that universally in law enforcement were a thing.
It's fading out.
They're fading out because it's far as communication purposes, it's easier for us to use plain speak or plain language.
What we mean by plain speak is we just say on the radio what we have and what we need. So
Right.
everyone can understand what we're asking.
When I started going through the police academy, I really didn't know most of the 10 codes outside of I am 10-8, meaning I'm back in service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 10-4, meaning I'm clear, code 4, 1099, or like 95, stuff like that. But if I was to completely use a sentence in 10 code over the radio, that would be hilarious, number one. But I'm pretty sure there'd be a couple of head scratchers. Like,
there'd be some head scratchers.
What did he just say?
Maybe not from the old timers that when they came in the 90s, they used 10 codes almost exclusively.
Right. But for people like me who came in the 2000s, like maybe like what 2020, maybe 2011, 2012 and after. Oh no, he'd have no idea what he's talking about.
So
what did he say?
So the reason why we don't use 10 codes anymore stems from 9/11.
Right.
Because they had all those different agencies responding there, and their 10 codes meant something different than their 10 codes did. So each agency were trying to talk on the same net, but the 10 codes, your 1010 might mean different than my 1010. So we got away from that. Now we use 10-4 because that's universal for understood or I'm okay, or we say code 4, dispatcher will call you and say, what's your status? I'm 10-4 or I'm code 4, means I'm fine. 10-8, like you said, 1050 means a crash. Pretty universal for crash is 1050. 1095 means someone's in custody.
Right.
1099 either means that person has a warrant, or 99 if it's a car means the car is stolen. And then 109 means repeat your traffic. Say it again. 109 dispatch, I didn't catch you. And they'll say it again, or they'll tell you 109 because they didn't understand you. But there's maybe 5 or 6 10 codes that we use now out of the 100. And after that, now California 1013, I believe, is still officer down in California. I believe that's still, but we don't use 1013 in Texas. We just say an officer down.
Right. Yeah.
It's clear speak, get it across the radio so everyone understands what's going on. So that was a good one. I like that. How about, it must be the weekend because my brain's fried at this point. We do it all day long. We don't even realize we're doing it. We just say it.
You just say it, yeah. You just say it like throughout conversation.
Yep.
I know, and I guess a lot of this could just be legal terms too, as far as maybe that we might mention. I believe I mentioned it maybe during our episode for like DWIs, motion to suppress.
That's a good one. I like that.
Motion to suppress it's a court hearing. So this is after an individual has been arrested for any offense. It just doesn't specifically relate to DWI. The objective of the defense attorney is to try to get the judge to look at the probable cause for the stop or the probable cause that led to the arrest of their client. Lots of times it is used in traffic stops, and the suppress hearing is for the defense to give facts that show that the probable cause was not what it wasn't present, and to suppress it, meaning to get rid of it, to throw out the charge that the person was arrested for. And
going a little deeper into motion to suppress, there's no jury there.
Nope.
It's you as the officer, the judge, the prosecutor, and the defense lawyer, and maybe the client will be there. Sometimes the client's not there. Sometimes the client is there. Sometimes it's just the lawyer speaking on behalf of the client.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get evidence suppressed.
Yep.
So they may go to the video and show the video to the judge and say, I believe this makes my client look really bad. Prejudicial is the word they use.
Mind hearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And try to get the video footage suppressed, or maybe just the audio, or get the whole video thrown out so that. And what this means is, let's say the trial is still going to go on, but the judge suppressed the footage. Means it can't be mentioned at trial and it can't be shown at trial.
Yep.
It does not exist now. For the purposes of the trial, it does not exist.
Yep.
So that's what a motion to suppress is. Basically, if they can get to probable cause, let's say we did a traffic stop. We find 40 pounds of meth, but you didn't do a correct traffic stop because when you run the footage back, it wasn't that car that did what you said he did. It doesn't matter what he had in the trunk now. The probable cause to stop the car no longer exists, which means goodbye entire case. It's gone. Yeah. The judge can dismiss it right there. Yeah. Now, this is not a decision made right then and there. Judges don't make the decision right then and there at that moment. Usually, you'll hear about it, 3 to 5 days. And they'll call you back and say either the case is going to on, the judge agreed with you, or the case judge disagreed with you, and the case is now dropped. It's a done deal. It's over. Of course, this doesn't mean the person didn't do it. And what I have to try to constantly get across people is just because you beat the case doesn't mean you didn't do it. We know you did it because we arrested you for it. Yeah. We were standing there, we watched you do it. It's you had a smooth lawyer, a dumb jury, a prosecutor that screwed up, an officer that screwed up because he said something stupid on the stand or he wrote a crappy report. Doesn't mean you didn't commit the crime. And what kills me is, I got it dismissed. It doesn't mean you didn't do it. We know better. We know how to read what dismiss means. Dismiss missing witness means the officer didn't come to court that day. Doesn't mean he didn't do the crime. It just means the officer didn't come to court that day, and so they just dismissed the case because they didn't want to make another court date on an already packed court docket.
Right.
So that's all that means. So listeners, we hope you learned something today. I try to respond to questions I get from people on this show. What does this mean? What does that mean? And we thought maybe this was a good time to try and explain some of that. Maybe we did it 20 episodes too late. So
Probably, yeah.
we probably should have done it earlier, but we like to leave a little mystery. We hope you enjoyed the show. We have a lot of fun doing these, and I don't know. To me, it's cathartic. I get stuff off my chest. I feel better.
Yeah.
And I like to share what we do because I want the public to understand what we do. Because it shouldn't be a mystery. Law enforcement shouldn't be shrouded in secrecy.
No,
the public needs to understand how this works. They need to understand their rights. They need to understand our limits, their limits, what they can do, what they can't do, what we can do, what we cannot do. Just as importantly, what we cannot do. This doesn't mean you act like a jackass on the side of the road. Okay, the side of the road is not where you fight it.
Nope.
If your rights truly were violated, your lawyer's going to watch that footage, and believe me, he's going to be on it faster than you are.
Right.
And that problem will be solved in short order real quick.
There's a term for that. Holding court in the streets.
Yeah. We don't hold court in the
We
streets.
don't hold court in the streets.
Just so you know, listeners, you cannot legally resist arrest. It doesn't matter what you're being arrested for. You cannot legally resist the arrest. If it's a bad arrest, trust me, the officer's going to pay for that. One way or another, he's going to pay for it.
Dearly.
And then you're going to end up in a civil trial suing the agency for the false arrest or whatever it was, and you're going to have money. But if you turn around and stab me, shoot me, or beat me up, your chances of winning that is kind of going to go down a little bit. Because while the jury may be sympathetic to you and your case, they're not quite as sympathetic if you're kicking an officer in the teeth on the side of the road because you didn't agree with what he did. So don't hold court on the side of the road. If you do not agree with the decision made, there are avenues. You can complain to the internal affairs of that agency. You can call a criminal investigation division, file a criminal complaint. There's a million things you can do. Fighting us on the side of the road ain't one of them.
Nope.
So, listeners, want you to have a great week. Brothers and sisters, please be safe out there. Watch your backs. As we film this, tomorrow is New Year's Eve. It's a very dangerous night for law enforcement. It's a very dangerous night for citizens. If you don't have to be on the road, please don't be on the road. If you have to be on the road, please drive very carefully. Please do not drink and drive.
Right.
There's always another option.
Always.
Uber, Lyft, sleep in your car, have a friend, sleep where you fall. I've done that one in college. I hold sleep where I fell. Better than driving.
It is.
You know, you may wake up with a smiley face or a dick drew on you with a Sharpie, but guess what? You didn't drive and kill somebody.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be laughed at than stared at in court because I killed somebody because I felt I could drive. So, J-Man, do you have anything to add on this?
Yep. And we just one thing. Cops planning. This is once again just explaining, cop lingo, police jargon, whatever you want to call it. This is not dictating, making someone feel less of a person. This is not mansplaining. So please don't think, oh, you
Good
guys
point.
Yeah.
We don't want to be canceled.
You're
I appreciate that.
You're copsplaining me now. Stop copsplaining me. No, if a cop is just talking down to you, that person's being a dick.
Yep.
This is, hey, we're talking about cop lingo, police jargon, things like that.
So it doesn't mean you're stupid, because ignorant and stupid do not mean the same thing.
Absolutely
Ignorant
not.
means a lack of knowledge.
Yep.
So for the citizens out there that think we're cops-plaining because we think you're stupid, no. It's like you have a job. We may not understand these things, and we'll ask you, hey, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Doesn't mean we're stupid. Doesn't mean we're just ignorant of the knowledge of what you do. So that's all we're trying to do is shed light on this and make it understandable for the average citizen to go, oh, I understand what he was saying now. I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you learn something every one of these episodes, that's what we want.
Yep.
If you learn something, fantastic. If you just enjoyed it purely for the entertainment, great. We're good with that too. But we do want people to learn because, like I said earlier, this should not be shadowed. We're not shadow company. This is law enforcement. It's transparent. We need to be visible. You need to ask us questions. Yeah. That goes back to Vietnam. So, listeners, have a great week. J-Man and I are out of here. Please be safe and take care of yourselves. Have a happy new year. Be safe, everybody. We're out of here.
We're out.